Berman.
Welcome to a soggy night in Miami, but there's nothing soggy about this scene. A ride he'd imagine and those close to him would imagine would happen for a long time. Tony Dungy, the Colts, the champs of Super Bowl 41. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. Welcome to Miami and our Super Bowl post-game edition of NFL Primetime with Steve Young and with Tom Jackson. Destiny takes different turns,
well,
doesn't
Noah
it?
is going to come any moment now. But
yes.
Anyway, I think that you think about this whole playoffs for the Colts. The irony is that Peyton Manning and the Colts did not play their game really throughout the playoffs except for the second half and the Patriots, including today, and they still are world's champions. Very ironic.
Yeah, I thought that they were clearly the better football team, and my initial thoughts are how proud I am of Tony Dungy. Historic moment. I don't think that we can get past that. Tony mentioned it as he was accepting the Lombardi Trophy. Just clearly the better team, and even though they didn't play their game, as Steve said, they still won going away.
But it was a journey. You didn't expect rain. You didn't expect wind in South Florida. It was a journey. Well, this was one of the most unusual Super Bowls that we have ever seen. The question, would it be for the Colts against the Bears? Would it be destiny, or would it be a deluge? Here we go with Super Bowl 41, and you know what the deluge was early for Coach Dungy and his close friend and longtime assistant Lovie Smith? It was the Bears doing what got them here, and that would be, even though Peyton Manning said, uh-oh, we lost the coin toss, Brian Urlacher said, all right, we're going to get the ball, but actually, neither would figure right away because opening kickoff, you've never seen this from the 8, Devin Hester to start a Super Bowl, and what? He's just gone. I mean, you can tell it at the 40. He could go all the way. One play, 7-0 Chicago.
You take a look at this return by Devin Hester, and he's one of the best I've ever seen at it. You know, he gets himself going laterally across the field, but when he makes this move, and we'll be taking a look at it right here, Marlon Jackson looks like he's got a chance to make a play on him right there, makes a great little move outside, shuffles his feet, and he has that burner speed that once he gets past that first wave, he's gone, boom.
So the Colts knew. Bears special teams and don't turn it over. The first thing is happened. Rex Grossman fired up. 7 points on the board. They didn't have to do anything. Now, Peyton Manning. Uh-oh, it's raining, and Chris Harris, the safety, makes the pick. That's the 50th time the Bears have forced the turnover this season.
Obviously, early in the game with the rain, both quarterbacks needed to make adjustments on what can I really put on this football. That one needed a lot more zip. Peyton realized I'm not going to throw another one like that.
And then it was hard. Reen was going to fall, babe. But Peyton to Reggie Wayne, twisting, turning, beat the safeties, wide open, 53 points, and now automatic with Adam Vinatieri coming in to tie the game at 7-all. But the Hunter Smith hold never happens. And here's another curveball in this game, 7-6, the Bears still lead. Now, what are you going to do? Okay, we're going to almost huddle and decide what are you going to do. Gabe Reed picks up the kick on a short one, and he's crushed by Robert Mathis. It's a fumble. Tywan Hagler recovers for the Colts, so now turnover the other way. But on the very next play, Joseph Live-and-Let a dive. Alex Brown forces a fumble. Mark Anderson for the Bears. Back-to-back fumbles in the Super Bowl.
Just for a moment, I thought it was July and preseason. I really wasn't sure that it was the Super Bowl.
Well, so we've already seen a long bomb. We've seen a kickoff return, back-to-back fumbles. Why not a 52-yard run? Why not? Thomas Jones all the way down to the 5. This was all in the first 10 minutes of the game. It was preposterous. 3rd and goal from the 4. Rex Grossman, Muhsin Muhammad in there. And the extra point is good. It's 14-6.
You know, I teased Boom around this time that it was the greatest game ever played.
The greatest game.
You sound like
played.
John Facenda.
It's now 14-9, and Manning to Marvin Harrison. Runs out at the Bears 36, that's 22 yards. Later now in the drive, this second quarter, Dominic Rhodes, and it was interesting the way the Colts were able to run up the gut on the Bears after a while. They kicked the extra point at 16-14. Now, Manning, Brian Fletcher, and he's Fletcher Christian. He leads a mutiny. It's a fumble and the bounty. Charles Tillman recovers, so 3 turnovers forced by the Bears in the first half. But Rex Grossman on the next snap fumbles.
Boomer, I got to be honest. When you do it once in a rainy game, fine. A big mistake in the Super Bowl. When you do it twice, shame on you for not taking better care of the football.
Absolutely.
6 turnovers in the first half. But at least you could count on one thing. As crazy as it was, when Adam Vinatieri is going to come on and kick a field goal in the Super Bowl, you just can write it down. No good. And so Urlacher and the Bears fired up. The Colts lead 16-14 in one of the most preposterous first half. Look at it, you can tell what is this? So you had the opening kickoff, you had the missed extra point, you had, forget the 6 turnovers, you had back-to-back turnovers twice, you had Adam Vinatieri missing a field goal. I mean, you had a 60-yard pass, you had a 52-yard run. Hello, what's going on here?
Get Prince out here at halftime and get some normalcy.
Well, the only normalcy was,
someone could predict.
You know what? The only normalcy was him singing Purple Rain
You knew that
in a
was gonna come, it'll be
rainstorm.
fine.
Shall we try the third quarter? I'm afraid to look. Here's the third quarter. Well, the good news for the Colts, they're getting the kickoff, not Hester. Peyton Manning. Ben, you take the time, you could feel that the last drive or two of the first half, Tom Moore and Peyton Manning had figured it out.
You know, we had the feeling that they had them figured out, you know, and that pressure that the Bears were putting on early wasn't coming as that third quarter began, Bo.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it later. I know where you're going with this. There's a dive for a first down. Manning underneath to Clark, and now fourth down. Tony Dungy challenges. Too many minutes. You know what Tony in the challenge. Tony. No, it's not too many. They have 11 players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And so they lose the timeout. Colts kick field goal. No, please, Adam, don't tell. One is an accident. One is an accident. It's a 24-yard field.
And that hold was not perfect.
Snap was not good. 19-14, but the Bears are in it. 2nd and 1, Bears. Rex Grossman tries to scramble, but Booger McFarland gets credit for the sack, but he just fell.
This is the first drive of the one that coming up in the interception. These 2 drives were the signature drives for the Bears, and Rex Grossman both took 2 sacks and then threw the interception. Not a very ignominious third quarter for
And
Rex.
then Dominic Rhodes takes the handoff, and he bursts through the Bears defense, a 36-yard pickup, sets up a Vinatieri field goal, but again, they're getting field goals, not touchdowns. Bears still have a chance, especially since after a field goal, you're going to kick it off to Devin Hester. And so now, it's Peyton Manning. And to Marvin Harrison down the middle. He got hurt on the play, and you could see he would not be back.
Yeah, and you can see Manning come in as he was going down. You know, we had the feeling that Marvin really did take a lick there, that he might not return, Boom.
All right, and 2nd and 14. Now Grossman to Muhsin Muhammad. Hold on now. I mean, it is 22-17. It's a pickup of 22 yards. Next play, Grossman, but it's just a jump ball, and Kelvin Hayden, second-year man, Illinois, Johnny on the spot. You didn't even know he was on the roster, and now he's in the history books with a touchdown.
Honestly, Boomer, a very flippant throw by Rex Grossman. He made the double fake, threw the ball up in the air. You could see Mushi make this stop and go. The corner was sitting back outside the whole time, and Rex never looked up to know where to throw the football. Mushi being inside, you had to drill it inside or throw it out of bounds. I thought it was very irresponsible, especially in that key moment when the game was absolutely still on the line. Speaking of lines.
And why not have Lovie Smith challenge that he was out of bounds? You might as well try it.
Yeah, and they challenged, but as we said when we were watching the game, Boom, Musin had the clearest view of it, and he chased him all the way to the end zone, so he knew he was in bounds.
Now, next Bears possession, Grossman, Desmond Clark, maybe a chance to get back in it, but then Grossman going to try and roll the dice for the deep man, Bernard Berrien, but Bob Sanders, there he is, Johnny on the spot.
In the rain, you've got to put that ball way out there, more than you ever could imagine, because the ball's wet, your hand is wet, it's slippery, and he had him open and just couldn't deliver it all the way to the sidelines. It was unfortunate.
And then Grossman.
You can see that he's got to step and he's got to put it out in front, and unfortunately, he never really adjusted to the rain. I thought Peyton, after that first interception, decided, I got to be much more careful with how I throw the football.
4th and 9, Bears with it, down 12 still. Grossman, Desmond Clark. Matt Giordano with a big hit, ball loose, big hit and turnover. I mean, the ball goes over on downs.
Yeah, you know, trying to put the ball in the tight spaces when the defense actually knows you're going to have to throw the ball. Difficult to do for Grossman.
And so now, here it comes. Hey, you're wet already. What difference does it make? I mean, it's just...
The double Gatorade. That's a double barrel.
And Peyton and the Colts and Brian Urlacher, who played so valiantly in the middle, did he tip the very first pass of the game? You thought maybe they would have their chance. And two great coaches, and speaking of great coaches, Don Shula walking the trophy. Let's see, the Lombardi Trophy, carried by the guy that's won more games, Don Shula, and then Coach Dungy, Peyton Manning, who was the MVP, and then the whole team. Hey guys, what a run it's been for the Indianapolis Colts, who win Super Bowl 41, a historic Super Bowl 41, 29-17, Indianapolis. They're the champs. The Colts, they won Super Bowl 5 in a bizarre game, and an almost as interesting game in Super Bowl 40 when they win again. Peyton Manning after the game.
A team win and a team effort, and we worked real hard this season and really just the past number of seasons. Obviously for the rookies, I know this is special, but this is special for a lot of the veteran players that have been here through some of the great wins we've had, through some of the tough losses, and nice to be able to put it together with a championship.
How much did the emergence of the defense in the whole playoffs help your frame of mind and your approach to everything?
Well, certainly it does change your frame of mind because you feel like maybe you don't have to be quite as aggressive, and you know, a third down punt to back them up in field position is not the worst thing in the world. So, and it wasn't really that way during the regular season, but in the playoffs, our defense has just played outstanding and creating turnovers and getting us the ball back. So it was nice to be able to get this win really as a team. What's that? Well, I guess, like I said, just a wonderful team win. Obviously, it didn't look great after the opening kickoff, but kind of like we've done all playoffs. No panic whatsoever. Everybody stayed calm, really tried to go out. Everybody did their job, and once we got the lead, we felt good just to kind of keep chipping away and keep getting some points, and it was nice to be able to get those turnovers there at the end.
Peyton Manning, the MVP, and so quarterbacks that have drafted, been the first overall draft pick that have gone on to win the Super Bowl MVP. Peyton joins Troy Aikman, Hall of Famer, joins Jim Plunkett, joins Terry Bradshaw, Hall of Famer. I don't think there's any question now. And now here's one we've got a lot to go with here. But first of all, on what the Colts did on this day in which you figured, wait a minute, everything's going, and now you're going to bring on rain. Now you're going to bring on the kick return like Ohio State had against Florida, and that didn't work either. And you figured the Colts, oh, it's going to be this much more of a struggle. I guess they really had to scrape for it.
Well, you know, I think, like Steve said, you search for a little bit of normalcy when you look at this football game, and the turnovers were coming so fast and furious you couldn't really focus on something. But as you look at the final statistics and you see the 42 runs for 191 yards, not by the Bears, but by the Colts. I think that's where they really found themselves in this football game. Let's settle ourselves down. Let's get to something that we can do well. And I was surprised that they ran the ball as well as they did against the Bears. You would have thought the Bears had to have those kind of stats in order to have a chance to win this game.
I mean, let's be honest. The Colts are the better team.
Yes,
I think they win 7 of 10 times. Today they kind of eked it out with a very subpar performance. I think the Bears did very little on offense to threaten, and I think Tony Dungy knew going into halftime we were up 16-14. I don't know how.
Yeah,
and now going into the third quarter, I actually don't need to do a bunch. Peyton, we're smart enough to know that if we run the football, be careful, they'll go ahead and make the mistakes, which they did, and we'll have a championship. And so both teams played subpar performances, but 7 out of 10, I think the Colts win. And again today, when the rain, they were the better team.
You know what didn't happen? The chess match, because the Bears pretty much stayed pat, Tom, on defense when Peyton was up there running the clock down.
You know, Boone, we watched early on in the game, and you know, they came up in a couple of packages defensively, the Bears, where they obviously wanted to put some pressure on Peyton Manning. Then he got away from that rush. He made the throw to Reggie Wayne. After that, they kind of sat pat in that defensive stance and said, look, we're not going to risk having that big play go on us again. And I thought you just had to risk everything. It's the Super Bowl. I've got to do whatever I think it takes to go out and win the game. And the other thing is, I'm going to be real frank about this. You cannot hide your quarterback in a game like this. You can't go out and say, boy, I'm going to have him play to not make a mistake. Right. And that's certainly what it appeared like the Bears were trying to do.
They even got 3 turnovers and a kick return in the first half.
But he didn't hide, Boomer. I mean, we'll talk about that in a second, but go ahead.
Well, we knew this would be historical one way or the other. The first black coach to win a Super Bowl, and it is the man that brought Lovie Smith into the National Football League. It is Tony Dungy, who played and recovered a fumble in the Super Bowl that the Steelers won in Miami over the Cowboys in 1978. He finally got back. He's one of the most beloved and respected men and coaches in the game, Tony Dungy, after the win.
You know what? I thought about that as I was up there on the podium, being the first African-American coach to win it. And I really have to dedicate this to some guys who came before me. When I came in the league in 1981, you know, Jimmy Ray and Sherman Lewis, Lionel Taylor, those guys were in the league already, and great coaches that I know could have done this if they'd have gotten an opportunity. The Lord gave me the opportunity, Lovie and I, and we're able to take advantage of it. But we're certainly not the best, certainly not the most qualified, and I know there's some other guys that could have done it given the chance. So I just felt good that I was the first one to be able to do it and kind of represent those guys that you know, paved the way for me. Together we are as a unit.
So Coach Tony Dungy and the Colts, we called the win over New England the ascension. You know, it's like they made it not quite to the top of the mountain, and then, but this was far from a foregone conclusion. But look, can you put into words, Tom? Sure you can. What happened the last even 14 months with Coach Dungy and this team? And a team that was 13-0, personal tragedy, and then team kind of a thud, pulled themselves back together and won it the very next year.
I think that really what we saw tonight is kind of a culmination of what Tony Dungy is all about. And, you know, I said a little bit about it this morning on Countdown. His faith, you know, the tremendous faith that he has in God, the tremendous faith that he puts in his family, and I think all of that translates to his team. You know, he perseveres. You know, he mentioned tonight when he was accepting that trophy that he wanted people to have an appreciation for the way he did it. That you don't have to be a guy who yells and screams, that you can walk with good faith and have God as your guide and be a guy that people can respect. And I can still be a really good coach. And to me, that speaks volumes. You know, this could not, for those of us who know him, this could not have happened to, I know you hear it all the time, it could not have happened to a better person.
Amen.
And I think that in the long run, you got to look at it as it's not, the African-American thing is massive, but it's also a guy that has done it, like you said, the right way. It's an enlightened way. It's not just with a whip. It's with a carrot and a kind of a loving spirit. And that's going to be a testament to both of those guys. But you think about the irony of this playoff run by the Colts. After all the runs that they've made this decade, this is the one where Peyton Manning was subpar, except for the second half in the Patriots. And who really stepped up? It was that maligned defense in Kansas City, in Baltimore, again late in the game in the Patriots, and today putting the pressure on the Bears. You got to say that, as Peyton said, it was absolutely, despite all the things that Peyton's done, we can't even talk about all he's done, it was a team victory for the Colts. Congratulations to them.
And really, if you know Coach Dungy and just his football coaching, that's what he does with defense. He found a way to get this defense to play championship football, and in the end, it's the Colts. They're the winners in Super Bowl 41. Plenty more coming here from a wet Miami, but a lot of tears on the Colts side of the field. The Bears were valiant, had their chance, but in the end, too much Indy. It's okay in the corral. The Colts have corralled the Super Bowl. Tony Dungy, Peyton Manning, the Indianapolis Colts, with a little help from a youngster. Their first-round pick, the running back Joseph Live and Let Die. 19 carries for 77 yards, 10 catches for 66 yards. And you see that rookie rushing leaders who have won the Super Bowl same season, well, it's happened before when the Ravens did it. And Tony Dorsett, who of course went on to a Hall of Fame career. But Adai, you know, the 1,000-yard back, did it both catching and running. As for Rex Grossman, well, for a while he threw a touchdown pass, but in the end, the turnovers came too much, too fast, too furious, and after the game, Rex Grossman.
You know, we came up short. You know, we didn't make the plays to win it, and that's extremely frustrating. But we know we're a great team, and at this point, all you can do is just get better. On a personal level, it's always disappointing when you don't come away with the victory.
You said it, Tom, you couldn't really hide a QB.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think that they tried, as you said, you can't hide a QB, but I think that Rex, even though they tried to be very careful with him, also didn't hide very well with 2 fumbled snaps. I know it's raining. I've been in those situations before. The first one you say to yourself, hey, it's wet. The second one is shame on me, because you have to take care of the football, especially the 19th game of the season. And then he got into the fourth quarter with the game unbelievably still in doubt. And he had a couple of drives and a couple of throws. This one, to me, was the flippant, kind of irresponsible throw to make the pump fake and then throw it out there without really care to an easy pick for a defensive back that had outside position for Mushi Muhammad. That throw cannot be made. And then to follow it up with what I thought was an open receiver, you got to put it with air and out in front. And unfortunately, that was the one that sealed the deal, down by 12. To me, Rex is a young kid. You can make a lot of excuses. I believe that he's got a tremendous potential. He's young and all these things. But here we are in the Super Bowl, the 19th game of the season, and I thought there was some irresponsibility on his part with not handling the football very well, despite the rain. And I think that he needs to, you know, he took a team to the Super Bowl. Who can say that? Not many people.
That's right.
Give him all the credit that's due to do that. But being here today, despite the rain, I thought there were some tough spots.
Let me go to the other side of the ball for Chicago. Because this defense gave up close to 200 yards rushing. Now, we understand that there's no Tommy Harrison. We understand no Mike Brown, but they've been playing that way for a while. They had looked a little better than that.
Yes.
What happened here, Tom?
Well, I don't think that this is the kind of offense that you can sit pat defensively.
Right.
I think that when you look at this football team, the Colts, the teams that they have a problem with, it's multiple looks. It's people moving in and out of the line of scrimmage, making them guess about where you're going to be, when you're going to bring pressure, where you're going to bring it from. You know, it's the Patriots. It's the San Diego Chargers. When they were sitting there in that 4-3 look and nobody moved, a couple of times Peyton Manning looked like he was shocked that they weren't going to do more to put something in his mind. And he finally went to the locker room, and I thought when he came back out for the third quarter, he came out saying, okay, this is what I'm going to see, this is what I can do, and I'm going to do it and do it well.
When we come back, I would like your thoughts on Peyton Manning, because you two certainly, Steve, shared the identical
I can absolutely
identical spot.
When people say I feel him, I feel him.
I want to feel what you're thinking on Peyton Manning's behalf, the MVP in Super Bowl 41. We return on Primetime in a moment.
Inside the Numbers, brought to you by Visa. Go on, live life, and remember that no matter what it takes, life.
Back in rainy Miami, where Peyton Manning indeed reached the top of the mountain, the MVP, with our Sal Palantonio after the game.
Hey, congratulations. What was it like to hoist that Lombardi trophy, Pat?
Sure felt good, Sal. Obviously, we worked hard, not just this year, but really throughout a number of years since Coach Duffy's been here. A lot of the veterans have been here, like myself and Marvin and Tarek Glenn and Jeff Saturday, guys that have been through some of those tough losses. We've never given up. We've learned from them, and it was nice to be able to put it all together this year for a championship.
This was really a team win all the way around. Tell us about how you guys put this game together, start to finish.
Well, it had to be a team win, Sal. Obviously not the way we wanted to start it off with the opening kickoff returning, but we stayed together. We never panicked. Obviously, the weather conditions played a little bit of a factor. The passing game wasn't going to be as crisp as it usually is, but we used the run game, got a couple plays in the passing game, got enough points to win.
I know for you personally, it has to be satisfying.
Well, it's rewarding for our team because I felt like I was part of the team, and we've worked hard, like I said, this year, but really it was kind of a long time coming because of the past seasons we've had where we really had great regular seasons and haven't been able to finish in the playoffs. It was nice to be able to finish it this year.
Hey, Peyton, congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Sal.
Back to you.
All right, congratulations, Steve. The books that you and Peyton authored in the Super Bowl after slaying the dragon were different, but boy, the ending plot was the same.
And Peyton has no idea how it's going to feel in the coming days when he realizes how long he's held on so tight, the pressure that he's faced, the challenges that he's met, all the resentment that he's put aside, all the comments that have been made, the but comments, that as that goes away and it filters away and you get to kind of bask in the whole enlightenment of being a Super Bowl champion and reaching the top and knocking down all of the pins, he will find this offseason as fun and rewarding and peaceful as you can imagine a Super Bowl champion. Good for Peyton. I can't believe, well, I just love the feeling he's going to have.
The Colts felt that the majority of their games were 7 points or less this year, that this all was going to be part that he could gut out a game like this and not these 6 touchdown pass performances. That the close games in the end would spell the difference of winning it all as opposed to being oh so close. We'll be back shortly here in Miami with some final thoughts on the Colts win over the Chicago Bears 29-17.
Muhammad from Rex Grossman. Touchdown Bears. It was 14-6 Bears with the lead. Just before the half, though, the Colts take the first lead of the game. Dominique Rhodes, 16-14 Colts. Third quarter now, and Rex Grossman feeling pressure from the Colts. Going back, fumbles the ball, and he is knocked down on the later in the series. Now, this is the fourth quarter. And, oh, this one really hurt. A Grossman interception by Calvin Hayden. He brings it back 56 yards for a touchdown, and you could feel it slipping away. It was 29-17 Colts. On the very next series, it was Grossman throwing yet another interception, and then the celebration. Peyton Manning, he is your game MVP. Tony Dungy, the first African-American to ever win a Super Bowl. Congratulations to the Colts, but the Bears, again, left feeling what went wrong. So now they come home. We'll see what happens. But a lot of work needs to be done, obviously, in the offseason with the offense. What are they going to do with Rex Grossman?
Because I'm sure they would do the same for us. But at the same time, you know, we got to make sure this doesn't happen again. We miss tackles and let guys run all over the field.
Well, the players talked about being frustrated, hurt, and empty.
You can really feel their sadness. It was particularly sad for me to listen to Reuben Brown, who was the oldest player on the field at the not-so-advanced age of 34, talking about how hard he'd worked to finally get here and to not walk away with a trophy.
And you don't walk back the next year automatically.
Yeah, well, let's hope he does. Let's hope it's a good team. They've got a good chance next year.
It was who came out with a victory. And unfortunately, came out with a victory, and I know our team, as well as me, we came out and gave 110%, but unfortunately we wasn't able to come out with victory.
All right, Devin Hester, his effort going for naught now. As soon as this game was over and the Bears went back into the locker room and got themselves together, they knew their next task would be to defend Rex Grossman. Alex Brown took his shot moments ago.
Rex brought us to the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl hadn't been to Chicago in 21 years. Y'all should give him a break. I mean, yeah, we came and we lost. We didn't achieve what we wanted to achieve, but people weren't as hard as a meter in Chicago is on Rex. They weren't that hard on Craig Krenzel. They weren't that hard on them guys when we were sorry. I mean, we're in the Super Bowl. We lost the Super Bowl. We're upset, but we won the NFC Championship with Rex. So give him a break. Give him a break, gosh. That's it. People talk about it.
Wow, Alex Brown being a real teammate. I think the difference is Craig Krenzel was never supposed to be a starter here, and Rex Grossman is and was. We'll see what happens to him. I tell you, I think another factor playing into this one was the game plan. You got to question Ron Turner. It seems that they just didn't trust Rex, so they ran the ball, and really didn't throw underneath like Peyton Manning did. I'll tell you, the Colts exploited the cover two like nobody's business. I just don't think that they trusted Rex to throw even those short passes underneath the defense. And then, of course, they started to panic and had to go deep, and that's when it all came apart. Well, much more live from Monsoon City in a moment. For now, Mark Giangreco in Miami.
All right, Mark, thanks very much. Now, let's stay in Miami.
ABC 7's Ron Majors has been with the Bears all week as they prepared for tonight's big game. He's live on our HD camera outside Dolphin Stadium tonight. Hi, Ron.
Live and plenty wet. It is continuing to rain pretty hard down here. Now the wind is blowing as well. John Garcia was inside the stadium for part of the game. He's been down here all week talking to fans and especially the families of the players, John.
Yeah, as the game started to wind down and the ending kind of became apparent, it was going to be the Bears coming up a little bit short. I made my way over to the family section where a lot of the Bears family and friends were sitting and talked to them. They were obviously very disappointed with the apparent outcome at that point, but at the same time, maybe not quite as disappointed as some of the other Bears fans, because they say they're still very, very proud of the team. It's been a good season, and they've made it a long way. We're apparently having some problems with that tape. We'll get back to it. But one of the more interesting things I talked to about with Tommy Harris Sr., his father, was very reflective about it. He said he was obviously very disappointed that the Bears came up short, but he felt like with the two African-American head coaches, either one that won, he was going to come out a winner, and he's very proud about that. Apparently they have the tape fixed now, and
try it again.
Let's see what they said.
Pumped up for a big game, and it's raining, and you're uncomfortable, and you're wet, and you're waiting for your team to do a great job, and you know what? You get disappointed, and, you know, that's the way it goes, though. It's a great game. It's a great experience.
It was absolutely a great season, and, you know, it's just an honor to make it this far, and we didn't come away with a victory, but, you know, we can try again next year and see how we do.
Are you disappointed? Yes, I am. I want the Bears to win. But next year it'll be nice and dry, and Arizona.
I don't know what it is about the quick scores, but teams that get a lead like that, they figure maybe they let off the pedal a little bit and forget about what they really set out to do tonight. And I think what happened is not so much the Bears offense. Obviously, that was a problem. The time of possession, a huge difference in favor of the Indianapolis Colts. The Bears defense really didn't step to the plate tonight. What they needed to do was harass Peyton Manning. They knew that this guy was great against blitzes, and you don't sack him a whole lot, but you have to be able to harass him at least a little bit.
Does this team have to stay together next year? You know what happened to the '85 team? It broke up in a sense.
Yeah, well, you saw the Bears come to the field. I think they need to stick together. They've got a nice window of opportunity. They ought to keep Lance Briggs. This was the opening kickoff we were talking about. Devin Hester going for the downs. Very special player the Bears are going to count on in future years. This goes 92 yards, as I mentioned, the first time ever in Super Bowl history that has happened on the opening kickoff. His 7th kick return for a touchdown this season. Grossman looked good early on this nice pass to Musa Muhammad. That put the Bears up 14-6, and you thought things were going pretty well early on, but then some costly interceptions. The one right here just thrown up for grabs. Kelvin Hayden, the Illinois grad, Hubbard High School star, taking it to the house, 56 yards. What was amazing about this place, it looked like he had stepped out of bounds at about midfield. They showed the replay, but conclusively it showed that he stayed in bounds. The bottom line is that Peyton Manning, after 9 years in the National Football League, he finally comes up with a championship. Tony Dungy hugging his former student, Lovie Smith. And you know what, Warner, I hope the one outcome of this game is that, you know, as the NFL continues to work on the equality of opportunity issue, that no longer we talk about Tony Dungy or Lovie Smith as African-American head coaches. We just call them great head coaches, period.
And Lovie Smith said that, too, on the day that a lot of the reporters were asking him that. I hope there's one day where we don't even have to mention that.
Yeah, let's hope so.
And let's start now. That's what he said.
Let's do it right now.
Yeah, we'll start the trend.
Bears fans filled Chicago bars since early this morning. Marion Brooks is at Kroll's in the South Loop for a look at some of their reaction. Marion?
Hey guys, yes, I'm at Kroll's at 17th in Michigan. I'm here with a bunch of Bears fans who are remarkably quiet right this moment. They've been yelling in my ear for the last 20 minutes, but I wanted to talk particularly to this guy.
Been doing a ton of interviews, and we've talked a number of times during the course of this week and over the last couple of weeks. The jubilation is hard to describe. I mean, this is a combination of a lot of emotion for Tony. I mean, there's been a lot going on over the last year or so, and this is a very, very special game, not only for Tony, but also for Peyton Manning, but in particular for Tony. Just a lot of things have happened in the last year that this will help relieve some of that pain that he's experienced.
You mentioned to me you saw a couple of your old teammates the other night, Mike Singletary, Gary Fensick. How was it that you obviously enjoy winning the Super Bowl? They said they were hoping that you know, you had success, but they didn't want. I mean, that's got to be a difficult thing, being a former Bear and then coming out here and beating the Bears tonight.
No question. Those guys come by the hotel we were staying at, and hey, Leslie, glad to see you. Hey, how's it going? Congratulations. We just want you to know we're pulling for the Bears. You know, we like for you to do well. We're pulling for the Bears. I'm going, all right, friends. But I mean, I had a number of calls. Richard Dent, a bunch of guys called me, you know, just congratulating me on being here, but all the time, you know, hoping for the Bears to win. But the thing that I remember about that team was the camaraderie that we had as a group, you know, when we won it. And I see it with this team as well, the camaraderie that we have. And this is the kind of thing that will carry these football players a long time after they're done. The friendships and the relationships, as you know, that's what you miss about the game. It's not so much the applause or the paycheck like most people think. It's the relationships that you build in that locker room, and that's what makes it so special. That's what was special about our team in Chicago.
So give me and our viewers a sense of how your life is going to change and what's going to happen over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 days.
Well, I don't know how much mine will change, but our guys in the locker room, their life will be a lot different than Indy, you know. It's going to be different for them. I mean, they're Super Bowl champs. They're going to have a ring that they'll have with them the rest of their lives, and there'll be some endorsements, some appearances. There'll be more name recognition, but the satisfaction in knowing that you're a world champion, I mean, that can never be taken away from them. And it's a great confidence builder in so many ways.
You played in this league, Leslie. You're a coach. You spend hours, probably 2 or 3 times more hours than players do preparing for a football game. To have, and it didn't matter who it was tonight, Lovie Smith or Tony Dungy, the first African-American head coach to win a Super Bowl. What does that do for you as an African-American coach in terms of wanting to get a head coaching job?
Well, you would think that that is going to help not only me, but any minority coach in the NFL or any guy that has aspirations of coaching the NFL. And I think it'll put more teeth in that Rooney Rule, Mark. I really do. And I think it's part of the reason that Mike Tomlin got the job that he got in Pittsburgh, because of the success of a Lovie Smith, of a Tony Dungy, and all of a sudden those general managers and owners say, you know what, just like Doug Williams was MVP in the Super Bowl as a quarterback, those guys can do it. They can lead a team to a championship. So I think it sends a message, not only in our game, but to CEOs all across the country, whether you're at Microsoft or wherever you are, Hewlett Packard, wherever, that you know what, those African Americans that may be senior VPs, they could actually lead our company to a great deal of success beyond just working in the bottom layers of our company. So it's great for all minorities all across the country.
Leslie, again, thank you so much for coming out here, spending time in the rain with us. Congratulations to Tony Dungy, to yourself, and your entire Colts organization.
Thank you.
All right. Leslie Frazier, the former Bear from the 1985 Bears team that won a Super Bowl in 1986. I guess if there is some good to come out of this, Diane and Antonio, at least a former Bear has a second ring to wear.
That's right. And, you know, everybody was talking about what this does for young kids. And affectionately on the internet, they called this the Soul Bowl. There you go. So that's
well,
great.
it's, you know what, yeah, and it's a very special thing. Again, I know both head coaches, and they were both deserving to win, but I think this does, to a great extent, is just another step, as we have talked about for the last couple of weeks, that this league has taken in the right direction, and I think it will reflect certainly across our society, and I think that's a good thing.
Well, good for them. Thanks, Mark. We'll see you in a few minutes.
And we'll be back with a look at whether our frigid forecast is going to get any better, and with a look at the Super Bowl commercials.
Grossman in the pocket, fires, and the ball is caught by Muhammad for the touchdown.
You know, with this intense week, I just kind of need a vacation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Rex.
Hey, Rex.
I can imagine Rex needs a vacation. A lot of guys do right about now. Rex Grossman, as always, his appearance in the Final Word, sponsored by the good folks at Hyundai. And I guess one of the questions you have to ask right now about Rex Grossman, has he shown enough to the Bears for them to feel good about moving forward with him as their guy?
Well, I think that story's still being written because he has less than 30 career starts as the Bears quarterback. The highs have been very high this year. The lows were very low. Ultimately, he won 15 games and got his team to the Super Bowl. So Rex Grossman did a whole lot of things right this year.
Much more to come on the Final Word. Keep it here. Up next, we'll hear from defensive coordinator Ron Rivera as the Final Word continues live from Dolphin Stadium in Miami, FLA.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle. Gets past the first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown.
They
made it a Super Sunday, even though the Bears lost. On a comfy couch, these fans watch the Super Bowl thrilled when their Bears do well.
What have I liked about the Super Bowl?
Devin Hester.
First rundown. The first rundown was awesome.
The McGuires in Park Ridge have all the ingredients for a winning party, starting with a fabulous spread of food.
Just a lot of family and friends and good food.
Yeah.
Cooking the way that my mother taught me.
Pat Manning, a high school teacher and football coach, has seen firsthand how Bears fever has caught on with his students.
Kids were off the wall Friday. A lot of jerseys, hard to get them to study, hard to get them to respond, but we made the most of it. We had a good day.
Whether it's the commercials or the halftime show, these fans, albeit some more than others, are loyal to their Bears and thrilled Chicago has had a stake in this Super Sunday.
I am a football fan and I love football.
We enjoyed it so much the last time they were in, but this is even better because we have all our kids are at an age where they really enjoy it, and our grandchildren, and it's just wonderful to be here with everyone.
And Mickey McGuire was right because we had a fabulous time here. Of course, we would have loved it if the Bears had won, but I got to tell you, I'm just really happy that I was inside tonight, Warner and Allison. It was fun.
Good
Back
place
to
to
you.
be. Do you think it's going to be hard to get the kids up for school tomorrow there, Marianne?
Oh, my goodness,
Just
that
a bit.
alarm. How are we going to do that?
I don't know.
Set it early.
Waffles. Maybe waffles.
Waffles, that'll do it. That always gets them up.
Thanks, Marianne.
Peggy Kaczynski just spoke with Bears quarterback Rex Grossman, and she is now talking with Leslie Frazier. 85 Bear, right?
Warner, you know, if you're going to lose to a team in the Super Bowl, at least it's a team that has so many connections to Chicago. Leslie Frazier, 85 Bear, and now he's one of the assistants on Tony Dungy's staff. Boy, it's good to come from the tree of coaches under Tony Dungy, isn't it?
No question about it. You look at the lineage and Rob Marinelli, now Mike Tomlin, Lovie Smith. I mean, yes, I feel good to be working with Tony Dungy and an Indianapolis coach.
And talk about the Chicago kid, Kelvin Hayden. You work with him.
Yes.
Here he comes up with his first interception, returns it for a touchdown in the Super Bowl. It doesn't get any bigger than that.
So proud of Kelvin. I mean, out of the University of Illinois, Chicago public league kid from Hubbard High School. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, for every kid in Chicago who saw the Super Bowl, now they can aspire and believe that they can play in the Super Bowl and win a championship based on what they saw today. So I'm excited for Kelvin, and his best football's ahead of him. I told him that after the game, I mean, you're going to get better and better and better. So I'm excited for him.
Les, I did want to ask you one other question because this is such a big story, a historic game today with Tony Dungy becoming the first black coach to win a Super Bowl. I remember when you were trying to get the jobs as an assistant coach, trying to get the jobs, and Tony hired you here in Indianapolis. What does it mean for all the young black assistant coaches across the league and the guys who just want an opportunity?
Well, I think it sends a message to owners and general managers around the league that you can not only have guys who are in charge as coordinators and position coaches, but you can actually believe that when you hire a guy or interview a guy, it doesn't need to be a token interview. I mean, they can actually lead your team to the Super Bowl, much like what Doug Williams did when he was MVP of the Super Bowl as a quarterback, which at the time, you know, nobody really were giving African-American quarterbacks the opportunity. Well, today, I mean, nobody really even talks about the Dante Culpeppers or Donovan McNabb being African-American quarterbacks. They're just quarterbacks. And and the same is going to be true from this point on for future head coaches. And there are going to be other African-American coaches in the Super Bowl due to what happened here tonight. I mean, it was historic in a lot of ways, and I don't think you want to understate it. It's a major moment in our country's history as well as our sport.
Les, it's good to see you earning a Super Bowl ring now as an assistant coach. Don't feel the need to win back-to-back. The Bears need to get back there. Congratulations, and thank you again. Leslie Frazier now with the Indianapolis Colts. And when you talk about getting back to the Super Bowl, you have to talk about the Bears quarterback. Rex Grossman has had more criticism all season long than anyone else. I caught up with him right after the game.
No one wants to make it this far and be on the losing end. How do you put into words this feeling?
It's frustrating. All you can do is you know, take it like a man, get better, and hopefully next year you're in this position again to make those plays.
It almost seemed like things happened so quickly. Devin Hester's return on the opening kickoff. Thomas Jones had that nice 52-yard run, and after that, you guys struggled to find a rhythm with the offense. What was it?
You know, we did a good job on first and second down, making it third and manageable, but you know, we didn't convert those third downs, so we only had 19 plays in the first half to really get anything going, and you can't get deep into your game plan when you are having too many 3-and-outs. So
this season has been so up and down, but you guys came to the pinnacle of an NFL season. What do you take from it now going into the off season?
Just the fact that we still have one more step to take, and we made a lot of accomplishments this year. We took a lot of steps forward toward reaching our ultimate goal as being champions. We were close, so now we know we can get to this point. We know we're a good team. Only thing you can do is just work hard to get back to this point and make the best of it when you're back here. You
got your first full season under your belt now. Does it make you more confident going into next year?
Yes. You know, being NFC champions and having the year that we did as a team, you know, just gives us confidence to go out next year and you know, make it back here and win the game.
All right. Thanks, Rex. I appreciate it. Rex Grossman has been stand-up all season long. He answers the questions after the offense did struggle today, but the defense struggled as well. Training camp only 22 weeks away, Warner and Allison.
Oh, boy, not long.
Peggy, you make us proud, and everybody else down there in Miami. Well done.
Terrific job. Not everyone is warm and cozy or even inside.
And it was rainy down in Miami, and it's freezing cold here. Some fans actually watched the game outside of Soldier Field in the cold. Our Lauren Jiggets was with them, and how are you doing out there, Lauren?
Well, it's very empty and lonely out here right now, to tell you the truth. But before, it was a few, the proud and the very cold. Only a handful of fans showed up out here to tailgate in the shadow of Soldier Field. Although it was certainly not the game that they had hoped for, they said there's no place they'd rather be.
It's so cold out here, even the beer froze.
We got to barbecue our beer to keep it warm, you know, warm enough to drink. Yeah.
But out at the south lot of Soldier Field, a small group of die-hard fans braved a sub-zero wind chill, and they tailgated just to be near the home of the Bears.
My wife's at home watching on my 65-inch TV by the fireplace. I'm a Bear fan. I'm a super Bear fan.
The lot opened around 8, but most of the groups arrived shortly after noon, and they stuck it out, huddled around an open fire or crowded into a warm RV, all for the chance to watch the Bears in the shadow of Soldier Field.
You know what? There's no better place to celebrate, even if they win or lose.
So it's cold and slightly depressing out here. The last fan left about 15 minutes ago, so we're out here all by ourselves right now. But those fans told me that they were disappointed, but they're still very proud of their Super Bears. Reporting live from Soldier Field, I'm Lauren Jiggets, NBC5 News.
The lone Bears fan out there with the photographer. Well done, Lauren.
Well, you know,
don't worry about her. She's got her daddy's genes.
That's right. Her dad was a bear, so therefore she could stand out there in the cold, huh?
No question about it.
Look, let's go back to the '85 Bears. That team broke up pretty quickly, didn't they?
You know, the shame about the '85 Bears, and you talked to those guys today, they said, you know what, the darn thing about it is we should have won at least one more Super Bowl championship, maybe two more after that. But they let Wilbur Marshall go, Willie Gault got away, and all of a sudden what was a great team all of a sudden started, you know, disassembling in that window of opportunity, which is very small in the National Football League and probably smaller today than it was back in 1985. That being said, should this Bear team stay together?
Right.
They should try to keep it together as much as possible.
Lance Briggs.
Lance Briggs, number one. He's Lovie Smith, bring him back as well. Heck, I would like to see Ron Rivera get a head coaching job, but it'd be nice to see him back as defensive coordinator as well. None of that's going to happen necessarily, though.
As we've watched this night unfold, how key is it with Lovie Smith and Tony Dungy as the head coaches of both of these teams, the way these teams have handled not only the win tonight, but also the loss? I mean, class acts all the way around.
You know, Tony Dungy mentioned something that was very important, at least during every Super Bowl that I've been involved with over the years, in the last 41 years, there's always been some kind of off-the-field antic, some kind of off-the-field infraction that one or the other team's players have committed, but these teams conducted themselves with dignity. They realized that they were representatives of their respective cities, and you didn't hear a single story that wasn't about football this week.
And also respectful of their coaches,
Of their
I
coaches
think. You
as
could
well.
really tell that all the players talked
No question about it. They were both reflection of their coaches.
Not as good for the media to cover, though, I guess.
No,
Looking
we
back
love
at the
to stuff
85
like that.
Bears,
That's
you
right.
had lots of antics
yes.
going on.
We saw a lot of things going on down there. didn't we not?
That we're not allowed to talk about. You know, you look at some of the fumble problems that happened early on. That was one of the big problems with the Bears. The Colts made their shares of turnovers as well, but they didn't capitalize on them. The Colts, meanwhile, got good field position, and they were able to capitalize on some of the field position turnovers that were created tonight, and that was just one of many reasons why the Bears weren't able to pull it off.
But you know, the losing team always says the ball was wet. Well, the ball was wet for both teams.
Both teams, exactly. And you know what? I know the Peyton Manning family very well. I graduated in the same class, same year as Archie Manning. Archie, one of the greatest guys that ever lived, one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever lived, never made it to a Super Bowl. I don't think he ever played for a winning team until he finally got traded to Minnesota.
That's right.
There is no happier guy in America tonight than Peyton's dad, Archie Manning, and his wife, Olivia, tonight.
And, of course, Peyton's older brother, too.
Eli would like to win one himself one day.
Sure would. Okay.
All right. We're going to head back now to Amy Jacobson at Dolphin Stadium. She's been hanging out there with all the dedicated Bears fans in the pouring rain. Amy?
Well, Allison and Warner, I wanted to tell you and show you that this is what it was like right after the Bears lost to the Colts in Super Bowl 41. Many people hanging their heads in sorrow. Of course, everyone is drenched from head to toe, and they had to sit there and watch the Colt fans celebrate and experience what it was like to lose a Super Bowl.
I was crying in the fourth quarter. That was so sad. But next year,
we're coming back.
It's our year. Optimism.
Were there a lot of tears?
Oh yeah, it's so depressing. You know, we had the weather. We thought things were going to go our way, and couldn't get anything together offensively at all. Defense couldn't stop them at all.
You put up a good fight.
They did at first. They got us all excited with that lead we got early on, but I think the weather was a big factor in us handling the ball. So
a lot of tears for you?
Yeah, a lot of tears, but also a lot of excitement that we got here this season, and finally advancing to the Super Bowl. So, but yeah, it was a big disappointment tonight.
Can you give me a sad arg? Arg. So again, thousands of people coming down here now. Tomorrow they begin the journey home back to Chicago and hope for better things to come for next year. Reporting live from Dolphin Stadium, Amy Jacobson, NBC 5 News.
You know, the place, that's right. You know, Amy, the place was infested.
I love going arg.
Yeah, the place was infested with Bears fans. What did the weather do to them? What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you this. We were sitting up in section 405 for a while. Everyone was sitting down because we were just trying to stay dry as possible and as warm as possible. Because I know you probably think it's not warm or cold here, but it is when you're soaking wet and there's a little bit of a breeze. So a lot of people, they were cheering, but not as loud as it normally is when we're at Soldier Field. So I just think it kind of dampened the atmosphere a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
How's that answer?
That's not good.
So, Amy, what was your most memorable moment out there other than meeting the Bears fan who has actually got a bear head on him? What was your most memorable moment out there tonight?
Oh, Allison, there's a lot of things that are memorable. I think being on the field, for some reason we got on the field, we watched the game, and watching the Prince concert at halftime was, of course, great. But I think Devin Hester off the top was just amazing. When everyone was flashing their cameras, the whole place lit up, and then he ran it back for a touchdown, and that was awesome.
All right. Well, Amy, I think that's what everybody's going to be talking about, because that's the one really great thing that everybody's going to remember about this game.
Amy, thank you.
When we come back, we're going to have more news of the day, other things that happened on this day, plus more Bears and a look at the weather.
Especially Super Bowls, it's about turnovers. That's what happened here today. But when I talk about turnovers, I have a different take on it. I look at it as takeaways.
Eyes for him. They're targeting your kids, and we're targeting them. To Catch a Predator, Dateline, Tuesday, 8/7 Central on NBC.
She had colon cancer, which was missed at another hospital.
And now she has her children to worry about.
Sandy was born with a genetic disease that predisposes to colon cancer.
She was a young mother.
So we screened her children and found that 3 of the 4 children have developed this disease.
We're treating the family, not just the disease.
Taking care of the generations.
Correct.
We did the operations all on the same day. They competed with themselves who would get better the fastest. And all it took was simply to ask, tell me about your family.
The conversation continues at rushstories.org.
She wore an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow.
Yeah, I think it's...
All right, guys, go dry off. Appreciate it. You heard those guys talk about this team is young. They will be back. This is a team that could get this far maybe in the next 2 or 3 years because as long as they stay together.
Yeah.
Very young team.
There's always next year. All right, when we come back, how one suburban couple scored great Super Bowl seats for 80 of their friends.